Današnju konferenciju za novinare organizuje Unija M iz Prištine, a tema današnje konferencije je uloga i mogući uticaj regionalne mreže Asocijacije rasljenih lica na proces povratka, saradnja, odgovornost i zaduženja nevladinog sektora, međunarodne zajednice i vladinih institucija. Na današnjoj konferenciji su se okupili svi relevantni ljudi koji predstavljaju organizacije koje se bave povratkom raseljenih na Kosovo, osim Ministarstva za povratak u vladi Kosova. O tome će verovatno gospodin Jović nešto više da vam kaže. A ja bih sada pozdravila direktora Unije M iz Prištine, gospodina Radmila Jovića, predstavnika UNDP-a, gospodina Kima Vetinga, predstavnike UNHCR-a, gospodina Mbilijan Bumbu, izvinjavam se ako nisam dobro izgovorila, i gospodina Francesca Ardisona i predstavnika Danskog savjeta za izbjeglice, gospodina Majkla Posmajera. Ja bih sada dala reč gospodinu Joviću, koji će da otvori ovu konferenciju. Izvolite.
Hvala vam. Pre svega, želim da dobrodošlicu svima, pre svega mojim gostima, znači dragim prijateljima, a također i predstavnicima medija. Što se tiče Ministarstva za povratak i zajednice, moram da kažem da smo očekivali svakako danas predstavnika iz ministarstva, jer tema kojom se bavi ova konferencija je veoma značajna i čini mi se možda od izuzetnog značaja je prisustvo bilo Ministarstva za zajednice povratak, ali nažalost oni se nisu pojavili danas. Mi smo također juče imali zakazan sastanak sa njima, ali čini mi se da su previše zauzeti ovih dana da bi izdvojili neko vreme za nas. To je tužna činjenica, ali tako je. Što se tiče ove konferencije, u uvodnom delu moram da vam kažem da smo mi planirali nešto drugo. Ova konferencija bi trebalo da predstavi pozitivne efekte i dostignuća koje su vezane za projekat koji smo radili u poslednjih 6 meseci, ali ne samo 6 meseci, nego i trud kojim se bavi naša mreža već godinama. O toj mreži ću malo kasnije detaljnije. Ali, nažalost, rezultati povratka, konkretno, za poslednjih 6 meseci su nimalo ohrabrujući. Sad bih nešto rekao više o samoj organizaciji. Unija M je nevladina organizacija registrovana nezavisno na Kosovu, znači registrovana u Prištini, i bavi se direktnom pomoći raseljenih lica, podršci povratnicima i samim povratkom. Ali moram da kažem da Unija M nije samostalna u pogledu da je sama u ovom procesu, već je deo jedne kompleksne mreže za koju ja nemam tehničke mogućnosti da vam prikažem to. Znači, to je otprilike jedna mreža koja se bavi regionalnim pristupom. Unija M koja predstavlja deo, znači centar mreže na Kosovu, Unija koja je centar te iste panda mreže u Srbiji i nekoliko organizacija koje čine mrežu u Crnoj Gori. Ova kompleksna mreža stvarana je godinama i znači ona nije stvarana na temeljima nekih novaca i sredstava fondova, već striktno potrebama raseljenih lica. Da li su to internacionalna lica, internacionalna lica, takozvana kosovska internacionalna lica, posebna kategorija, ili raseljena lica u Crnoj Gori, nevezano, znači to su jednostavno skup asocijacija koje su našle za shodno da se organizuju da bi pomogli u tom procesu povratka. Ne bih da previše dužim, znači obzirom da mreža postoji od 2000. godine, sama kancelarija Unije M postoji od 2006. Pretpostavljam da ste već čuli više o nama, tako da bih sad prešao na konkretno ono što želimo da kažemo i što možemo da kažemo na ovom skupu. Obzirom, kao što sam već rekao, da nemamo luksuza da se pohvalimo nekim pozitivnim rezultatima, želim da ovom konferencijom uputimo poruku i da skrenemo pažnju na sve greške i na ono što se dešavalo u prethodnom periodu i da se trudimo i da se nadamo da ćemo u budućem periodu to moći da neko kompenzujemo, ispravimo ili da prevaziđemo. Što se tiče pristupa samom procesu povratka, ja sam, moram da kažem, lično video nadu u jednom novom pristupu koji se primenjuje, odnosno koji je pripremljen od strane pre svega Ministarstva za povratak, a onda i UNDP-a kroz Spark Plus program koji je po meni nešto što bi trebalo da donese neku novinu i neke rezultate konkretne na ovom planu. Naravno, o tome će više moj kolega. Ne bih da dužim, sad daću reč mojim prijateljima, kolegama iz UNHCR-a, pre svega gospodinu Miliju Ambumbi i gospodinu Francesco Artisa.
Can I use this one? Thank you so much, Radmilo, for giving me the floor. First of all, I want to say that UNHCR has been in Kosovo for more than a decade, dealing with various plight of refugees, basically. In the current circumstances, we are also part of this world program of assistance to returnees, and we have a full mandate under the UN Resolution 1244 to play kind of supervisory role on IDPs in Kosovo. And UNHCR, first of all, is not a kind of implementing agency. We basically implement activity through a variety of NGOs, which I believe UNIA-M is part of this NGOs, association. We are here today, myself and my colleague Francesco, to explain to you very briefly what we are doing along this program. Basically, in terms of assistance, we are playing a kind of preparatory role when it comes to activity related to return. We are funding various agencies to deal with issues like go and see visit, go and inform visit, and also interethnic dialogue as well. We also provide direct assistance to some returnees, open return. Basically, this category of returnees who are coming spontaneously by their own, because we still believe that it's not yet time to promote the return so far. So we are only focusing on the spontaneous returnees, actually. UNHCR also is planning to organize very shortly a kind of survey targeting the KIDPs. KIDPs means Kosovo internal displaced person, to make sure that those among this group of persons who are willing to return, we can easily find a lasting solution for them. I don't want to elaborate much since we have a very short time. I'll give the floor to my friend Francesco so that he can elaborate on the protection side. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Michel Billy. As my colleague has just stressed, UNHCR has within the Security Council Resolution 1244 a supervisory role. How do we exercise those functions that pertain to our mandate? First of all, we have some criteria, for example, security, freedom of movement, the restoration of property rights, the reintegration process. And we have a field presence, a consistent field presence, whereby we developed some synergies at the horizontal level with other international actors, IDPs, associations, although this needs to be strengthened, and then, of course, with all the municipal authorities. As we know, the return process is not gathering momentum. The statistics from January to May 2008 shows that in fact, we have much less returnees than last year, about 215, which is a preliminary figure that needs to be confirmed. So, about 1/3 the number of returnees who came back last year during the same period. So we need to understand what is going on. We need also to depoliticize the return process. and provide more practical assistance to the returnees, particularly in terms of reintegration. I think that we also need to improve our outreach to the IDP's caseload in Serbia. And this is why we discussed on several occasions with UNDP the possibility of strengthening this capacity within IDP's associations. UNIA is certainly the one who at present is the best organized, probably. We have to build up this capacity. We have to be able to communicate to the IDPs in Serbia what actually goes on here. Again, we have to depoliticize this process. And we should also, for example, share with the IDPs in Serbia the results of a recent survey that we conducted in Kosovo among the returnees in order to determine to which extent the return is sustainable. And the results were very pleasantly surprising because we have an overall sustainability rate which is estimated all in all at about 84.45%. Of course, there are various degrees of sustainability. There are case loads that probably based on their ethnicity can reintegrate more easily than others. But all in all, I think that this survey that was carried out over the last 2 months and involved the caseload of returnees from 2005 up to now, we surveyed some 5,632 returnees. So again, 84.5 of them are still around, have successfully integrated. So this is a very encouraging result, a very encouraging outcome of the survey. I think that we need to, again, reach out to those who might wish to return and create some kind of confidence. We should engage in this confidence building process as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Billy. Thank you, Mr. Francesco. Pre nego što nastavimo ovo, hteo bih da dodam još jednu stvar vezano za proces lokalizacije koji sama mreža asocijacija, znači, kroz sve ove godine prati. I mi se stvarno nadamo da će to da pospeši, ako ništa više, bar pristup povratku i obzirom da se naša cijela mreža u principu bavi pre svega promocijom prava na povratak. Zato sam se nadao da ćemo imati predstavnika ministarstva danas, jer takođe poruka koju želimo da pošaljemo je da svako mora da preuzme svoju odgovornost. Znači, mi smo spremni da stojimo iza brojki za koje tvrdimo. Spremni smo da potvrdimo da imamo odličan pristup raseljenim licima kako na Kosovu, znači internacionalnim licima na Kosovu, tako i u Srbiji i u Crnoj Gori. Ali svakako moramo da budemo svesni toga da ukoliko vlade ne preuzmu dobar deo odgovornosti, znači obaveze svoje, a na kraju krajeva i primajući zajednice, jer moramo da očekujemo stoga. Znači, ja pretpostavljam da će jedna iskrena poruka jednog komšije značiti mnogo više nego ne znam koji fondovi koji su već trošeni svih ovih godina. Hoću da kažem da apel mora da se uputi i vladama i samoj zajednici, znači i manjinskim zajednicama i većinskoj zajednici, da je povratak u interesu svih nas i da moramo tako da ga i posmatramo. Dao bih reč gospodinu Kimu Vettingu, predstavniku UNDP-a.
Thank you very much, Milo. Thank you very much for arranging this conference today. I think it's vitally important, and I think you play a good role in ensuring that we regularly communicate with the media on issues related to return. My name is Kim Vetting. I am the Return Portfolio Manager of UNDP. UNDP, as you know, the main agency that deals with trying to build capacity of the government structures in Kosovo. And I think I'm here today because UNDP for almost 5 years now has been trying to assist the government in providing assistance to those who want to return to Kosovo. I am very much in line with my friends and colleagues from UNHCR as well. We need to provide further capacity building of structures. But I think my main message today is that there's every week people coming back to Kosovo who want to return, but there's not money available to assist them in their needs. For the first time, I think, in the 5 years that UNDP have been working on returns, we have more than 1,000 families who have expressed specific interest to return, and their needs are not being met. There are people who have went to the municipalities, to municipal working group of return. They have drafted concept papers describing how they want to return. They have agreed with the neighbors. They have participated in go-and-see visits. But more than 1,000 families, as you speak today in the beginning of July, needs funds to support their return for more than 30 million euro, funds that are currently not available. So yes, we need to speak to neighbors. Yes, we need to develop economy. Yes, we need to develop structures. But basic message is that those people who really want to return back at the moment, there is no funds to support them. What programs does UNDP run in trying to support the people? And I will just speak about the 3 projects that I think have been mentioned here. The SPARK program, which was initiated with the Ministry of Communities and Return in 2005, are primarily assisting people who want to return in groups where they feel insecure and would like to return in groups. And at the moment, there are a number of projects ongoing in Kosovo. Places like Klina, like Ferisaj Rusevac, there are people who are returning in groups. And we are also assisting people who want to return individually, and this is happening all over in Kosovo. It is providing assistance to all minorities who want to return back. But as it is at the moment, there is only funds left for 20 more families. Then there's no more funds being provided from the government or from any donors to support people who want to return individually. UNHCR have some spontaneous support grants that could be provided, but there's no funds available to reconstruct houses that are totally destroyed, for example, at the moment. The other program that we are building in order to build capacity is to support organizations, especially like UNIAM, try to ensure that there's a possibility for IDPs to advocate for the needs of IDPs who want to return. So UNIAM is being supported through our regional IDP project, and a number of other associations of IDPs are being supported in order to network, in order to promote the needs that are among IDPs, whether it is to stay where they are now, to be supported, or to be supported in their return. At the moment, the government is changing the system. Following the Declaration of Independence, the government wants to try to establish a new system compared to what was established with UNMIK before, and the number of structures are no longer in place. I think some of our main problems here is what are the new structures going to be? Where is IDPs going to go if they want to be assisted? Are they still going to the municipality and requesting assistance? Are they going to the ministry? How do they actually express their wish and interest to return? There is still the municipal working group at municipal level, but when this has been expressed, the interest at municipal level, where does this request actually go at the moment? The central review mechanism that was earlier reviewing and setting up priorities on who to be assisted is not in function. The government wants to have some other system in place, but we don't know which one, and at the moment, this is just ending up in a big pile without actually being able to assist those who want to return. So I hope the government very quickly, and I urge the government very quickly, to tell what structures they want to have in place, so people who want to return to Kosovo know how to address the system, know where the request is, and know when they can be assisted. Because at the moment, when people are coming to UNDP, for example, we cannot give them a response, we cannot tell them what priority order they are in, when there will be funds available, and so on. I'm happy to see that the government this year has allocated more money than last year to support returns, but the fact is, after 6 months, less than 3 million have been allocated of the 5 million available for returns, so almost around half the amount that was supposed to support returns have actually been allocated. We have also got agreement from the European Union to support with 3.3 million to the government, but the government still doesn't know if they want to accept the 3.3 million for return program. They have still to discuss how this 3.3 million to support returns have to be implemented, what structures it have to be implemented with. So we have some money out there, but they're not being allocated for those who want to return. Finally, I want to talk a little bit about what Milo mentioned, the Spark Plus, which was a working title, the project, which is the one that should be implemented with the European Union, has the title Return and Reintegration in Kosovo, and its main purpose is twofold: to assist the government, whatever structures they want to have established, in helping those who want to return, helping them in the municipalities, and further it is to look more into how do we better provide economic assistance for those who want to return. One of the main problems of people who are returning as minorities to their original municipality is how do we actually give them more economic development, how do we ensure that they have a good life. And there are some good lessons learned, for example, from Bosnia. Last week, the Minister of Communities and Return went to Bosnia and looked at how do they there identify and try to assist people who are returning to have a better economic life. So we want to try and pilot this here in Kosovo under this return and reintegration to Kosovo. So this is the situation at the moment. We are still, from UNDP side, trying to assist the government, but we are hoping that the government will tell us where they want assistance, what system they want to have in place, and we're urging them to allocate funds for the more than 1,000 families that want to return at the moment. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Wetting. Ja bih samo da kažem još, znači iz svih iskustava primećujemo da je neophodno da imamo podršku vlade, ali ne samo vlade Kosova, ja mislim da su vlade i Srbije i Crne Gore važne, možda čak i vlada Makedonije, ali trenutno naša mreža ne postoji, znači na teritoriji Makedonije. Ono što hoću da kažem je da mi svakako nismo, kad kažem mi, mislim na mrežu Unije, odnosno Unije M, nismo oni koji se bave politikom, jer mi nemamo niti prava, niti mogućnosti, niti luksuza da se bavimo politikom u ovim trenucima kada su u pitanju prava na povratak. Znači, to je pitanje humanitarnih prava, odnosno osnovnih ljudskih prava i jednostavno fokusiramo se na to. Ali obzirom na podatke kojima raspoložimo i uticaj i zajednički cilj, sam povratak, mislim da bi trebalo da nam se dozvoli da sednemo za sto i da iznesemo svoje mišljenje, ako ništa više, i da bar malo utičemo na ljude koji odlučuju, znači ljude koji stvaraju tu politiku koja bi eventualno mogla kasnije da pozitivno utiče na sami proces povratka. Vrlo je karakterističan položaj kako nevladinih organizacija, tako i samih rasljenih lica kroz regione. To nam jednostavno ponekad u mnogome otežava i sam pristup ka njima. Ne bih dalje dužim, daću reč mom kolegi prijatelju, gospodinu Majku Posmajeru.
Thank you very much. And thank you, Radmila, for giving me the floor. And thank you very much for organizing this press conference. I think it is a very interesting topic to be looking at. It's always been an interesting topic, the role and influence of IDP associations on the returns process. It's been an interesting topic for a number of years and will continue to become more interesting and more relevant in the future. The two themes that I'm going to touch on very, very briefly in my talk are when it comes to the role of IDP associations in the return process are trust and progress. I agree with the overall vision that's been espoused here about the importance and the vision for IDP associations in the returns process. Of course, they have to have a fundamental key role. The IDP associations, as the representatives of IDPs, is the voice of the IDPs, the voice of the people that need to return, the voice of the people that are in the difficult situations in displacement, and the voice of people who are looking for durable solutions. And of course, many of those people looking for durable solutions are looking at return to Kosovo as their preferred durable solution. Of course, IDP associations do not operate in a vacuum. They have to operate within the returns environment and interacting with all the stakeholders, and they need the support of all stakeholders. That includes the IDPs themselves, that includes civil society, both local and international, includes government, and Radmila has made some comments about that already. includes our UN agencies that we have at the table and others. These are all crucial if we're going to allow for IDP associations to be able to make their voice heard as the voice of the IDPs. It's very much a point well taken that the IDP associations are not political. They're very much a voice and must be a voice of the IDPs, expressing the concerns of IDPs in trying to engage with the returns process. That is something that should transcend politics, and we very much call on everyone to allow a policy discussion and a debate that does focus on the real matters outside of politics that concern the returns process. A lot has been done, I think, in the promotion of IDP associations in the returns process already. DRC has been working with UNIA for many, many years now, and I think being a key supporter to bring the role of IDP associations, at least a contributor to the fact that UNIA does have the voice it has today, and of course the fact that that's been able to result in the establishment of UNIA-M within Kosovo as the Pristina-based voice of those IDPs. And of course there is the need for trust in our local partners such as IDP associations, trust from international NGOs, trust from communities, from government, from UN agencies to allow IDP associations to maximize their potential role in the returns process. A lot has been achieved. As I mentioned, the many years that DRC and others have worked with UNIA and more recently UNIA-M. There is further engagement of local civil society actors in the operational implementation of go and see visits, which I think is a positive development particularly from Serbia. And then there have been other initiatives, including the Kosovo Initiative Program implemented by DRC from 2004 to 2007, which brought ethnic Serbian NGOs and ethnic ethnic Albanian NGOs, my apologies, to come together to work on common programs. And while this is a nice idea in 2008, I think in 2004 when it started, this was a radical idea, but it's one that I think showed some real vision, and I'm happy that from 2004 onwards, we really had, for example, NGOs from Kraljevo and NGOs from Peja Peć coming together and working on common issues, and that I think has also worked to emphasize the capacities that exist within these local organizations and to emphasize the positive role that they can have in promoting a better returns environment. So that's a lot of progress that's been achieved. This progress must continue, and again, we must all have trust in our local partners and promote their increasing engagement in the returns process in a way that allows the full benefit of their experience to contribute to a positive returns process. This press conference right now is in a way, it's a conclusion of a program, but it's also a next step for UNIA-M. UNHCR has provided support to UNIA-M through DRC for the last 6 months, supporting them operationally, supporting them with advice and counsel and the resources required to continue on their operations. It's been a very difficult 6 months for them to operate. There have been a lot of activities that have really, a lot of external factors that have made the returns process a more difficult one in the last 6 months, and I commend UNIA-M for maintaining the course and continuing to promote the voice of IDPs and the concern of IDPs during this very difficult period for the returns process. But I think that, of course, as I said, it's a stepping stone. It's a step towards another level of engagement of UNIA-M and of IDPs and of civil society overall, I would say, in the returns process. To be able to look forward at the returns process, I very much thank Kim for his comments on the way that we can envision more local ownership of the returns process in local civil society and in government, as I know is a real platform of the returns and reintegration program that Kim has mentioned. That said, there are a couple of things I would like to request and call upon the various stakeholders in the returns process to do and to prioritize. I do call on the Ministry of Communities and Returns, I call on UNDP and other donors to look at the future of the returns process without forgetting the past. A lot has been achieved in the past. There have been some very difficult lessons learned, but there have been a lot of wonderful successes as well in the returns process. And I think that the ministry in particular, but also UNDP and other large structures can work to provide a policy framework and a funding framework to promote a transition of local ownership, the municipalities and local civil society, without compromising the structures, methodologies, and past successes that have been achieved in the returns process over the past years. I do call on the IDP associations themselves and on local civil society at large to look at their strengths, to maximize their ability to engage. They are one of the really great stakeholders in the returns process to be able to engage in both the locations of displacement and here in Kosovo at the potential locations for return. That's a wonderful gift that, not a gift, but a wonderful position for you to be in that will never be held by any international organization, be it an NGO or the UN or even government. You speak to and for people, and that's a critical thing to continue to take advantage of. I do call on international NGOs, DRC included, but certainly not exclusively, to adopt a more civil society-oriented approach. Coming back to the idea of trust, we do have to put the trust in local NGOs, in municipalities, to further engage in the process. I call on IDPs themselves, on returnees, on the receiving community, on society at large, to embrace diversity. There's been a lot of talk about the multi-ethnic role or situation for Kosovo. It's one that we all believe in, and we very much look to society itself to embrace this wholeheartedly as well, because that is really what's going to lead towards a more openness in the reintegration aspect of returns. And again, coming back to what Kim said and repeating myself a little bit, I also call on the donors again to support the returns process. There are, as Kim said, there are many, many thousands of people who have expressed their genuine interest to return. I'm aware, of course, that the numbers of returnees has gone down. DRC ourselves, the number of returnees that we have been able to help reintegrate in their home communities has gone down in the last couple of years. That is not because of a lack of interest from returnees, that is not, or potential returnees. That is not because of a lack of capacity within DRC or other organizations. It's a lack of money. If we had a lot more money, we'd be doing a lot more returns. And yes, of course, there are people who will decide on other durable solutions, but there are still many thousands who have expressed their interest to return. Just as a brief anecdote, DRC has been also engaged in individual returns, and I'm aware that in November, December last year, we were working on arranging a few returns of people from Serbia and from Montenegro. And we conducted the house construction, we'd done some information outreach, and then we were planning to conduct their return in early February. Of course, at that point, we all knew that Kosovo's declaration of independence would be coming up, so we put those cross-boundary activities on hold, and we had to tell some people that were planning to return. Their house had been constructed, the return had been fully prepared. We had to tell them, hang on, it's just not the right time right now in the middle of February with these other events going on. So they said, yes, okay, we'll wait, we understand, we trust you. By early March, they were phoning us again saying, hey, it's been a couple weeks, can I return now? And for me, that's really a wonderful feeling. Unfortunately, we had to say no, not quite yet, but we got them back eventually. But that's just to say, there is the interest to return, and if we have simply the resources, then there is the interest, there is the capacity among organizations on the ground to make it happen, and I really call on donors to allow all of us involved in the returns process to allow that to happen to a much greater degree. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Posmayer. Zahvalio bi se gospodinu Posmayeru iz Danskog savjeta i moram da se složim sa njima kao i sa gospodinom Vettingom i sa generalnim stavom. U principu sredstva su ono što je najveći problem. Zato mi se sviđa novi pristup ministarstva i pristup Spark Plus programa gdje se pretpostavlja da će sredstva biti već alocirana za određene projekte koji će kasnije biti rađeni. Ali možda bi prepoznali način u nekom eventualnom, u nekoj saradnji između vlada Crne Gore, Srbije i Kosova, kada bi oni inicirali zajednički ili na kraju krajeva posebno možda neku donatorsku konferenciju koja bi trebalo da skupi baš konkretno sredstva za proces povratka, odnosno za projekte povratka. Jer svi ulažemo možda i previše nade u donatorsku konferenciju koja je predviđena za ovaj mesec. Pa, ne znam, možda bi to bila jedna ideja kojom bi trebalo da se pozabave i ljudi od gore, da kažem. Sada, pošto smo već malo odužili, predao bi vama reč, odnosno otvorili smo za pitanja.
Izvolite.
Ja zaista prvo organizatora da pitam šta je ovo, da li je ovo tribina ili je ovo preskonferencija? Ako je tribina, onda u redu da svako od vas iznosi neke stavove o nečemu što je bilo ili će biti itd. itd. Ako je preskonferencija, onda ste nam trebali ponuditi nešto, šta su to rezultati vašeg istraživanja o uticaju, ulozi i mogućem uticaju regionalne mreže asocijacije. Imate li nešto od toga? Jer očigledno da je izuzev konstatacije. Moramo da skrenemo pažnju na greške u pristupu, u procesu povratka. 9 godina vam apeluju svi, i gospodin Vejting i Posmajer, znam ih sa terena, svi apeluju. Šta su to konkretno vaši rezultati tog istraživanja ako ste ga obavili? I morao bih da zaista pitam čemu non stop govorite moramo, treba da ojačamo kapacitete. Kada? 2020. Kada se raseljeno lice integriše u Srbiji, u Crnoj Gori, ne znam, u Hrvatskoj gde već živi. I da li je to taj ključni moment, ovo je pitanje za UNDP, ključni moment zbog čega povratka sve manje i manje ima? Što su ljudi već uklopili, integrisali tamo u sredinama u kojima žive. Jer čekajući na vas, čekajući na vladu Kosova, čekajući na UNHCR koji se poziva na rezoluciju 1244, mi smo tu da pomognemo pre svega interno raseljenim licima. U čemu? Dajte nam podatke, ako hoćete poruku raseljenom licu. Dajte nam podatke, toliko i toliko se ljudi vratilo u prošloj godini. To i to smo učinili, to i to ćemo učiniti. Tu su vaši rezultati. A vaše ocene, gospodine Joviću, ja ne znam zbog čega je tribina, konferencija za štampu organizovana kad ne vidimo niti rezultate istraživanja nekog, niti ste nam nešto predočili, neku sliku šta ste to radili.
Izvolite.
Prvo da vam odgovorim, kao što sam rekao na početku, preskonferencija, znači naša nada je bila da ćemo nakon 6 meseci projekta da imamo pozitivne rezultate, ali kao što je gospodin Kim Vetting rekao, ovo je bio, odnosno Michael Posmajer, ovo je bio izuzetno težak period od 6 meseci. Znači ova preskonferencija se bavi konkretno ovim periodom od 6 meseci, ali i našim trudom od ranije. Ono što hoću da kažem je da mreža asocijacije rasljenih lica koja postoji u Srbiji, koja broji preko 10 organizacija, koja je stvorila kancelariju UNIEM u Prištini. Znači to je jedina asocijacija, jedini glas rasljenih lica na Kosovu u Prištini, u centru Prištine. Ima ideju da se bavi tim povratkom od još 2000. godine. Ja mislim da smo mi prepoznati kao izuzetno važni činjenici, znači sama mreža ne više nego u prethodnom periodu možda 2 godine. Ono što mi pokušavamo da uradimo je, ono što nije uspelo da se uradi poslednjih 9 godina je da uradimo nešto konkretno na povratku. Što se tiče istraživanja, mislim, konkretni podaci koje mogu da iznesem su, kao što sam rekao, obeshrabrujući. Znači, 3 porodice koje su se javile nama posle proglašenja nezavisnosti, koji su tražili podršku, kako su je dobili, kako su se vratili, mislim, to su podaci kojim ne bih uopšte da se bavimo sada. Zato pokušavam da ovim događajem pošaljem poruku. Da se ovakav period jednostavno, da više nemamo niti mogućnosti, niti luksuza da ponavljamo ovakve mesece, da kažem, stagnacije i opadanja broja povratnika. Znači ono što hoćem da se trudim.
Kažete, šaljemo poruku vladama, pa dajte nam podatak. Nema, povratak je stao, ne događa se povratak, razlozi su to i to smo u istraživanju utvrdili. Nemojte nam govoriti o Uniji M. I ja želim da pokupim ljude sa terena da se vrate, ali nema para kod Kima Vejtinga. Njegova šefica zadužena za finansije, srpskoj porodici koja se vratila u Laplje selo, kaže ne ispunjava uslove, oni se vratili pre 2 godine, trebalo je da se vrate do 2004. godine. Nema para. Znamo mi to, ali nam kažite šta su vaši konkretni rezultati istraživanja. Jer nemojte nam govoriti o Uniji M, svi želimo da se bavimo nečim.
Koji su događaji negativno uticali na povratak u prethodnom periodu. Mislim, ne bih da ih ponavljam uopšte. Znači, od hapšenja Jovanovića, od proglašenja nezavisnosti, od svih tih događaja, naravno, to je sve uticalo negativno. Ali ono što je pokušamo, znači, da prevaziđemo sve te stvari i da nekako krenemo napred, krenemo dalje. Znači, ja mislim da ne treba nekom istraživanje posebno da bi se shvatilo šta je sve uticalo loše na proces povratka i kakav je proces povratka danas. Imamo izjavu gospodina Srđana Sentića, savjetnika za povratak, specijalnog savjetnika Ujedinjenih nacija, sekretara Ujedinjenih nacija, koji kaže da je proces povratka skoro stao. Tako da ono što moramo da uradimo je da prevaziđemo te stvari i da jednostavno krenemo napred zajedno.
Izvolite, gospodin.
Yeah, there was a question concerning capacity building. When does it start? When does it stop? I mean, last year was the first time where municipalities directly implemented minority returns program. So slowly it's going in that direction. I think our colleagues from UNHCR is the same, of handing over the responsibilities that UNHCR have been implementing, handed it over to the municipalities. Finally, after 7 years of local self-administration, this capacity is being increasingly built. Why is that a good idea? First of all, because of integration. First of all, to ensure that services are being provided by the municipality where you come from. Secondly, because it's cheaper. It's cheaper to have the local government to implement activities than having international agencies or international NGOs or agencies like UNDP. It's cheaper to implement projects if it happened at local level. We just have to ensure that there's no corruption and not all the money is going to the wrong direction. Also because the friends you have from Lapicello, if they're not happy with the guidelines that are in place, hopefully they can complain to an association and saying, what is this? If these are the guidelines, they have to be changed. There have to be a dialogue with the local community or with the government on what is actually, who is liable to return or who is liable to be assisted. I'm full of support that the government want to change things, but we just have to make sure that we communicate to people what criteria do we have in place. Perhaps the criteria that we set up under UNMIC back in 2003 when we established the Manual for Sustainable Return are not good enough. That's good, but let's have a debate about it. Let's meet here next time and then talk about what criteria should have been in place. But our main problem is, as I come back to, how can we change criteria to assist more people if the funding are constantly getting smaller and smaller? We need to set priorities. So again, we urge the government to come up with the priorities. We're here to help people who are experts in human rights issues, trying to help explaining who should be prioritized first when there's not so much money. Let's do that. Let's have a debate with the representatives of the people, of the IDP associations, represented through UNIM. Let's talk about which priority criteria should we establish, and then go out and assist the local authorities and municipalities in assisting them that I need first. Thank you.
Violeta Matović, Kim radio. Pitanje za međunarodne predstavnike ovde. Šta se događa sa silnim novcem koji je proneveren, koje su mnoge međunarodne organizacije proneverile u procesu povratka? Da li je neko za to odgovara? Imate li podatke o tome? Recimo, konkretno, Američki komitet za izbeglice pre 2-3 godine, tu je nestalo negde oko 1,5 do 2 miliona evra. Je li odgovarao neko za to? Imate li podatke o tome? Ne znam ko može od vas to da mi odgovori.
So may we ask you to be more specific about these 2 million that disappear from where, when exactly?
Povratak u Abdula Preševa. Znači, prve godine te kada je povratak u to mesto krenuo. U ARC-u je nestalo oko 2 miliona evra. Posle toga su se jednostavno pokupili i otišli sa Kosova. Da li imate podatke, da li je neko odgovarao za pronevereni novac?
I don't know this concrete case, so I don't know if there was a project that was implemented by UNDP, but I know that UNDP has been responsible for implementing a number of the government's funding. All these projects have an audit, and I think all the audit reports are available if you want to study them. I'm not sure if there was a UNDP project, so I don't know if I can provide you with some assistance, but you're welcome to come by and look at the audit reports for each of these projects that are being implemented, so we can see what have been the case of money being stolen. I'm not aware of this concrete case.
Možda gospoda iz UNHCR-a znaju nešto o tome više.
Well, I don't know this specific problem that you are referring to. We cannot size down everything to misuse of money, to lack of accountability. If the return process is going down, it is because of several factors, not always negative factors, because somebody was mentioning that probably a large number of those who are currently displaced in Serbia have successfully integrated. I think that we have maybe some expectations that go beyond the reality in terms of repatriation. We don't have to expect big numbers. Thank you.
Pričam konkretno o jednoj međunarodnoj organizaciji koja je radila na povratku i gde je ukraden novac. A niko od vas, koliko vidim, nema podatke o tome. To mi je jako čudno.
Where do you know the money's been stolen? Do you have any report that money's been stolen or somebody admitting to steal money? Just to close the case? What is this? So we can find out. I think we're all unaware of this story, so if there is somebody who's witnesses and say he stole some money, let's get him behind bars. Let's get him to pay back.
Yeah, maybe you have to be more specific because each agency has its own partners. The one we are mentioning, has he been working with UNHCR or UNDP?
ARC je tada bio konkretno partner UNHCR.
I believe that it's not something we don't know much about it because we have auditors coming every year to audit our account. And according to the record we have in the files, there is no indication that we have got money missing from one of our partners so far. Coming back to the question raised before by the other gentleman, I'd like to mention that we have to factor in one issue. This whole process of returns of IDPs to Kosovo is very politicized. It has to be very clear. And then we cannot blame the international community that why people are not coming back, why this and that. The return remain voluntary. You cannot force somebody to go back when he doesn't want to go back. We have been trying to advocate, to try to do outreach activity, to give genuine information, and so far there is a kind of reluctance for those people to come back. It's their choice. They have an option. They can stay where they are. It's one option. Another option is to come back to Kosovo. Nobody can force them to come back to Kosovo if they don't want to come back to Kosovo. That should be clear. And we also need to address the root cause of the crisis. There is a lack of trust among community. I believe that in this kind of forum, we need to have also maybe somebody representing the community. Because the root cause of this whole situation here in Kosovo is that there is a lack of trust among ethnic groups. If we don't build trust among the ethnic group, we cannot have the the return happening at some point. And the last point I wanted to highlight is that we need a strong coordination in place, and we need a strong leadership. And the government has to show some kind of commitment, some kind of political willingness, to take the lead of this whole process. Thank you.
Izvolite.
Ja zaista ne bih pitao, ali gospodin lepo je konstatovao, kaže da se vratimo u koren. Gospodine, 99. godine ovo ništa nije nisam. 99. godine, gospodine iz UNHCR-a, Srbin je živeo u Klini. Njegova kuća, on je proteran, kuća mu je spaljena. Tu je bila međunarodna zajednica. U prisustvu UNMIK-a i KFOR-a je to urađeno. Taj čovjek sada nema gdje da se vrati. Kako onda možete da kažete ne možemo kriviti međunarodnu zajednicu? Potrebno je da vi iz UNHCR-a upravo preuzmete odgovornost za obezbeđivanje donacije, za obezbeđivanje sredstava da se tom čoveku kuća napravi dole. I da mu se ponudi bar ona vaša kuća od 45 kvadrata, umjesto 250 koliko ima. Vi ne možete sada prebaciti teret odgovornosti na prazan budžet Kosova, na prazan budžet bilo koje opštine i kazati mi ne možemo da obezbedimo donatore. Mi nećemo da obezbeđujemo donatore. Mi ćemo sada samo kritikovati vladu i tražiti od vlade da vlada Kosova pokaže više odlučnosti u tome. Pa oni su spremni i odlučni, ali dajte pare. Odakle pare? Gospoda iz UNDP-a, pa vratite se na Zočište, izvinite. Vratite se na Zočište, vratite se na Babuš Babljak, Talinovac. Vratite se na Svinjare. Nemojte govoriti da su namenski sredstva utrošena. Da vas posjetim, Babljak je ugovoren. Sa 8.500 eura je kuća bila 45 kvadrata, a završena na 18.500 zaokružena finansijska konstrukcija. Gde su, izvinite, ako sve ne znate ko je zloupotrebio sredstva, zašto je obustavljena istraga povodom svih zloupotreba koje je radio Slaviša Petković kao ministar? Zašto je obustavljena istraga povodom zloupotreba koje je počinio ministar Grbić? Pa nije moguće da je sve čisto, a kuća pravljena, ugovorena na 8.500, a završena konstrukcija na 18.500. Gde su šporeti koji su nestali u Babljaku? Pa nemojte govoriti sve je čisto. Znamo i mi nešto, novinari. Verujte da znamo. I mi se bavimo nekim istragama iz našeg ugla. I zato kod vas je problem, složit ćete se, kod vas je problem. I ne može sad UNHCR sebi dati za pravo da kaže vlada Kosova i ministarstvo treba da budu oni koji su odgovorni što je povratak stao. Nije povratak stao zbog njih. Povratak je stao što UNHCR je okrenuo leđa povratku, UNDP je ostao bez donatora, praznih džepova se ne pravi ništa, na terenu nema ništa od praznih džepova. Moraju sredstva se obezbediti. Iskresati kriminal koji je vladao u ministarstvima za povratak.
Je li ima neko komentar?
I would love to have the minister answering your question. We are asking for leadership of the government. Perhaps it is not the right thing to do, but in our view, the government has to move forward and tell what they want to do. We have difficulties in finding out what the government wants to do. We want to assist them. We want to help them in implementing, prioritizing the way we want to do. And yes, there have been enormous fraud cases along the road. We are putting our cards on the table and saying, this is what we know, this is what we see. We are not we are not a police institution. We can only report to the police when we see something. And of course, we sometimes see something and we report it. But we are here, basically all of us here, to assist people in need. And we're doing it to the best of our knowledge. And there are mistakes happening, yes. And if there are some criminal cases, we report it to the police, yes. If I'm speaking from my heart, we don't know anything about AIC. If there's anything about ASC, send us a letter. We can answer to you, whatever the case is. We also want to assist IDPs. And the more money is being wasted on projects that are not really assisting to IDPs, but to help people getting some money, the less it is helping IDPs. You know, the less money there is available for those IDPs in the end. So we all have the same issue here. Let's work together in asking from the government what they want to do. Let's work together in identifying every time there is some money going in the wrong direction. We are here to assist in that because we have the same ultimate aim to assist those people, and preferably those people first who are in most need, and then those who are in a little bit less need, and so forth. Thank you.
In addition to what Kim was saying, we are not here to find a scapegoat to be blamed at the end of the day. I want maybe just to remind you very briefly that we are in an IDP situation. When it comes to refugees, UNHCR has a full mandate, you know, to take care of refugees. When it's IDPs, we have the so-called International Agency of Standing Committee, which came with a kind of clear division of responsibility among UN agencies and the international community as a whole. But so far, this kind of division of tasks doesn't apply to Kosovo for various reasons. So we need to come up with some kind of clear coordination mechanism to put in place whereby each agency has to play a clear role in this whole process. And we expect, this is why I was saying that, we expect in this process the government to play a kind of leadership role in the whole process of return. So don't misquote me. I want just to be very specific because we have to coordinate together, we have to work together and make sure that each agency has to play a role, and we are working along that line with UNDP to make sure that we coordinate effort at the field level so that we can give better support to the returnees when they come back. And also, I mentioned before that there is also an issue. We cannot force somebody who is based in Serbia to come back to Kosovo. We have been working in various other operations. It's not the first time we are dealing with IDP situation. And we know that in Kosovo, the situation is really difficult because we have an unemployment rate of 42%, basically. So those who are coming back from Serbia or Montenegro, they should not expect to have to come to heaven. Situation is difficult on the ground. They have to deal with it, and they have to struggle for the survival. That for sure. You can just try to alleviate the living condition and help them to cope with the situation on the ground. That's it.
Ovim je konferencija za novinare završena. Hvala svima.